council stipulate, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Wright, I think that when we left off, you had gone back into work as a Realtor, but you were still working on projects of the, from the Ford Group, is that right?
That's correct.
Were there any specific properties that you were the exclusive agent for after you left Ford Group? Let's limit it to Farmington, in case there are more.
I believe it was just, I can't remember if I lost 80 Mountain Spring temporarily. I remember I kept 585 Deer Cliff, and then I did resume 80 Mountain Spring.
So let's just talk briefly about 585 Deer Cliff. I'm not going to show you a map. The jury has seen the maps of the area several times. So where in relation to Jefferson Crossing was 585 Deer Cliff?
If you exit Jefferson Crossing, you would make a right, and that would be Deer Cliff. If you make a left on Jefferson, that's Eli. So you would make a right, it's probably a quarter of a mile down the street on the left on the view side.
Where approximately was the town line between Farmington and Avon in relation to Jefferson Crossing?
If you make a right out of Jefferson Crossing, it was very shortly after that, within 100 feet, I believe.
And 585 was in Avon,
Correct.
and 80 Mountain Spring was in
Farmington.
Farmington. When you were how long was it that you remained the real estate agent for marketing of 585 Deer Cliff?
Until it was sold.
Do you know when it was sold?
I don't know the exact date, but within the last 2 years.
So since 2019.
Yes, correct.
Can you describe what condition that property was in prior to it being sold?
Significant disarray.
Do you know why?
Fotis's mother died at that location, and previously he had used it for, like, when he had friends from Greece come over, his mom lived there at some point. I believe after that event happened, he just kind of let the place go. In all honesty, it was a tear down anyway. Like, that house more than likely would be purchased, and then it would be demolished, and a new home would be constructed on that piece of property.
Was it a choice piece of real estate?
Stunning, beautiful.
Could you just describe for the jury, because I don't think they've seen that aspect of it.
It's a 4.49 acre parcel in Avon, 550 feet of road frontage on Deer Cliff, which is, one of the nicer streets in the area. And it had just, sweeping views of the Farmington Valley. So views, location, acreage, road frontage, kind of had it all.
Was it was it facing the west?
It was facing west. So you're on top of the mountain, looking west, looking down on the Farmington Valley.
And
So
the property itself, was there a significant drop-off that permitted these views?
Yes.
Could you just describe that rather for the jury?
Well, you had the house, and then you had a backyard, and then it dropped off significantly.
A cliff?
I wouldn't say a cliff, but, pretty steep.
Was it at the top of Avon Mountain?
It was, yes.
You said that you had 80 Mountain Spring as are you under contract, or you were the realtor for that property as well?
Correct.
You said you lost it for a period of time?
After I was terminated, I believe he gave it to somebody else, and then I believe I did reacquire the listing, and then subsequently sold it.
Were you the listing agent in 2019 for 80 Mountain Spring?
Yes.
Were you familiar with the work that was being done to convert 80 Mountain Spring into a property to be sold?
Absolutely, yes.
Could you indicate to the jury a little bit about the property? They've seen photographs, they've seen aerial and drone footage, but could you describe what this house was and how it was converted?
Well, I did sell the property to the Ford Group from the original owners of that. Well, I don't know if they were the original owners, but I represented Ford Group to purchase the property. the house was very dated, needed a lot of updating. Some of the rooms were very choppy. On the third floor, there were like 5 or 6 bedrooms, a living room, kind of very small. I mean, the house it's a 100-year-old house. So we purchased the home, Four Group purchased the home, hired a well-known architect from Fairfield County, and did just a complete remodel.
Just wanted maybe a safe space to introduce Michelle.
How would you describe your meeting with Michelle? How did that go?
Fine, very engaging, worldly woman. Just getting to know somebody. It was friendly.
Did do you speak Spanish?
Poorly. I did when I was in Barcelona.
How long were you in Barcelona for?
12 days?
12 days?
Yes.
Okay.
Approximately.
So not for, you didn't live there for a period?
No. We travel a lot, and I try and learn the language for the country that we're going to.
Did you communicate with Michelle in English or in Spanish?
English.
Did you?
Consider the residual exception the court would use as guidance, the dying declaration exception. But the dying declaration exception requires, there has to be indicia of reliability. And so the dying declaration exception requires that the statement had to be so far against penal interest. Let's just use that example. If this were not the defendant in the case, that a person in the declarant's position would not have said it unless he or she believed it to be true. Well, first, if the court is to use that as guidance, the court cannot see, based on the facts of this case, that there's a statement against penal interest, because there's no indication.
I can't make that argument, I'll be quite frank, Your Honor. It was not against Mr. Doulos' penal interests.
Not against his penal interest.
No, but there are other indicia of reliability, and I would have elicited that. I'll just state for the record, so that we're here. This witness, the department received a call, I believe he received a call from Detective Kimball saying that Mr. Fotis was supposed to be in court at that time, and it was shown that he had not left his home. He was sent there for those purposes, only to discover that he was in a running vehicle with the garage door closed, the lights were on. He broke the window together with another officer. They pulled him out. And so the indicia of reliability and the fact that the note was taken on that date goes more to the fact that it was related to the fact that he believed he was going to jail. So in a way, it's literally against his penal interests, although the statement itself exonerates my client. So that's why I'm arguing it as not as a dying declaration, but instead as a residual hearsay, or under a Sixth Amendment right to present a defense exception, which the Connecticut has not yet acknowledged.
Well, again, the court understands, believes counsel's argument. The fact that the statement does not include an admission militates against a finding of trustworthiness. Even if it included an admission, there's no using the guidance of the code concerning statements against penal interest. There's no indication that Fotis Doulos intended to be alive for prosecution. So it could not have been a statement against penal interest, because the code contemplates the declarant being alive to face prosecution. He did not intend to face prosecution, so it would not even be a statement against penal interest. It's essentially an effort that counsel may argue is memorialized and trustworthy, but the court sees that it doesn't meet the measure of trustworthiness. There's no admission, and he didn't intend to go to prison. The court wouldn't allow the statement.
All right. In any event, is the court also precluding from the defense putting on the circumstances surrounding the death?
Yes, that's precluded.
All right. Well, then, I don't have any other questions of this witness.
Thank you. The jury can come back out.
Yeah, then I'm also going to release the Detective Barbero, since there would be no need for him to testify about taking the exhibit and delivering it to the Farmington Police Department.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then I will offer the death certificate as an exhibit at this time.
Would counsel stipulate, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. I just have one question. Did you become aware at some point that Mr. Doulos had died?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to mark this.
I have no objection.
And what's the
RR.
RR admitted as full?
Elmo. This one. Something happened. It was on and then. Oh, it's not my fault. Oh. Oh, okay, thank you.
Hopefully that works. There's an autofocus button if you need it. If it
Got it, thank you. And you knew that Mr. Doulos actually died in New York, not in Connecticut,
Yes.
right? And this is Exhibit RR. It's a copy of the death certificate showing that that Mr. Doulos died on the 30th of January of 2020 in Bronx, New York. Signed by the medical examiner of the city of New York. I have no further questions. Thank you.
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you, Sergeant. You may step down.
Your Honor, I don't have any other witnesses ready for today.
Thank you. Will a witness be ready tomorrow at 10 o'clock?
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's session. Please do not discuss the case. Please regard no media reports about the case, and we plan to see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.